Now, Chelsea Clinton was at a town hall forum in Youngstown, Ohio, over the weekend, and she was talking about Hillary Clinton's drug policy, which is not as progressive as we would like, admittedly. Now, she was talking in front of a crowd of students, and she said this about Colorado.
But we also have anecdotal evidence now from Colorado where some of the people who were taking marijuana for those purposes, the coroner believes after they died there was drug interactions with other things they were taking.
So essentially, she implied that marijuana taken with other stuff is dangerous, and that's why it's dangerous enough to keep it on the scheduling list until we do more research. That's essentially what's going on, and oh boy.
That is the first time in my life I have ever heard the phrase taking marijuana. I know. Have you ever heard that before, Jeff?
That is a negative.
Who
I've
says that?
never heard taking the marijuana. I've heard jokingly injecting the marijuanas.
Okay, that's fine. I have two. But you either say, I mean, and I know that you don't have to smoke it, especially in a state where it's legal. Like it's way, I mean, well, you don't in a state where it's illegal too, but it's easier in a state where it's legal. Most
Yeah.
people probably aren't smoking it as much because there's so much fun stuff you can buy. But using marijuana is what people would say. Using, or preferably using pot. Marijuana is actually a term that has racist undertones when you really look at the history of it. So I usually prefer to say pot or whatever. But, I'm not going to nitpick there. But using or taking that, yeah, I've never heard that. That shows how out of touch she is and should not be speaking on this at all.
Yeah. And look, not just that. Not only is she out of touch, but she's factually incorrect. There have actually been no documented cases of fatal marijuana overdoses. None. That includes deaths resulting from interaction between marijuana and other drugs. In fact, previous research has found that when combined with prescription drugs, marijuana can sometimes enhance this. Now, I'm not quite 100% sure on
It
this.
enhances a lot, Jeff.
Yeah, so I hear, right? According to a Dr. Michelle Ross, cannabis researcher and founder of the Impact Network in Denver, Colorado, she told Attention on Tuesday, cannabis can synergize with certain medications, such as opiates, to actually increase the analgesic or pain-relieving effects of the drug. When it doesn't seem to synergize with is the side effect of the drugs. For example, whereas opiates can depress your breathing, slow it down, cannabis will not enhance that. Okay, so basically what this doctor's saying is that it helps the good, but it doesn't impact the bad. So what Chelsea Clinton is saying, according to this doctor, is that no, that's not what happened at all. People do
Well,
not.
if her platform is it should be continued to be a Class A drug until further research is done, she is grossly behind the times. I mean, the only way it was declared a Class A in the first place is because of a propaganda campaign in the 30s that we all know now is completely comical. I mean, people watch Reefer Madness for the humor. But that whole propaganda campaign got marijuana to be a Class A drug, for a number of reasons, because like a lot of people, the pharmaceutical industry and again, racism were a lot of the reasons for that happening. And as far as more research, we've done tons of research. That's why it's been decriminalized and why it's legal now, because there's so much research out there pointing to, hey, this has a lot of medical value. This is not addictive in the way other substances are. This is actually safe and constructive in many different scenarios, glaucoma, et cetera, et cetera. It's time to evolve on our policy here because there's no reason this should be a Class A. I mean, Class A means it has no redeeming quality whatsoever. It's put right up there with heroin. The only reason it was ever there was because of pure non-scientific propaganda. And if Chelsea doesn't even realize that, that is terrible. And when you're supposed to be part of a progressive platform and your views on drug policy are that archaic, you're really hurting your mom's cause there, Chelsea, especially since one of the big criticisms of her is that she is way too conservative, which is a fair criticism, in my opinion.
incredibly fair. And look, you made a great point. You hit on this point of this has been racism, right? Has been involved in this. And the United States has a long history of criminalizing drugs to keep out certain quote unquote undesirables. In fact, you had the opiates that the Chinese would bring over that they were when they were working on our railroads back in the 1800s. Well, that's when we decided we don't want any more Chinese, so we're going to ban that drug and we're going to criminalize it and we're going to send these people home.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the reasons that the whole propaganda campaign against pot happened too. I mean, part of it was in the jazz clubs and stuff like that. There were a lot of black people that really liked to use it for recreation,
Right.
and because that was a big group that used it for recreation, that was we have to criminalize this.
Yeah, and of course, calling it marijuana, as you pointed out, well, that's definitely geared towards going against people who are Latino.
Yeah, and I mean, most people don't know that. I mean, I'll occasionally just slip and call it marijuana too. I try not to.
Yeah.
I try to be mindful. I think most people don't realize that, so I would never really get on someone's case for using. But taking marijuana, that just sounds so bad.
We should call it.
Just sounds so bad. I would shut off as soon as I heard that sentence. Like as soon as studies show that people taking marijuana, I'd be like, I'm done. That's not. Try again.
Well, she did try again. And actually, later on, I got this report earlier today where when she was talking to Washington Post, one of her spokespeople, I should say, they said that she misspoke. Quote, while discussing her and her mother's support for rescheduling marijuana to allow for further study of both its medical and possible interactions with other medications, Chelsea misspoke about marijuana's interaction with other drugs, contributing to specific deaths. So this is her spokesman talking to the Washington Post. So that's her. I didn't mean it. Trust me, we're progressive. We're progressives that get things done.
Well, yeah, and of course she's going to. I mean, I would expect her to backpedal on that. If it was one of Trump's kids, I would expect that to be more of the same. I mean, Trump is an openly, science denying, xenophobic, trying to appeal to the fringe right that would welcome that kind of logic or lack thereof. But, over on the other side, even though Hillary Clinton has disappointed progressives again and again and again, and I don't see that changing very much, she still needs to listen to that electorate because she needs those votes if she wants to win. And she's not going to get all of them, but she needs, in the swing states, she needs them.
She needs them bad.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add one more thing? Synthetic marijuana. Now, if you actually want to go after something that has been causing deaths and hospitalizations, go after synthetic marijuana, which is actually really isn't synthetic marijuana at all, or not marijuana at all. It's not cannabis at all. It's just basically you could take mulch, right? Grass clippings, spray it with chemicals, and call it synthetic marijuana. That's what's happening. And this, in places where it's not legal to smoke actual cannabis, this fake cannabis, this fake marijuana, is becoming a major problem with people that think that they're getting the real thing. They're not getting the real thing. They're not getting this high. They're not getting it off cannabinoids, for one. So, and that's causing a lot of issues because they spray all sorts of different chemicals on it and go, here you go, smoke away, man, have fun. And they end up usually in the hospital. In fact, according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, there were approximately 28,531 emergency room visits involving synthetic cannabinoids. If you want to go after something, go after that. Don't go after actual cannabis. The way to defeat this synthetic stuff is to make the real stuff legal and accessible, regulated and taxed.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, we want fair regulation, and I think as time goes on, there's going to be some issues that sprout up there. I mean, I know in California, we're having some issues now about growers growers not being treated fairly and wanting to be treating fairly and wanting to get their opportunity to participate. So, But yeah, I mean, legalization is a pretty crucial first step on the federal level, and yeah, we're going to see it. It's only a matter of time. That's why I'm so surprised that she's, parroting these archaic talking points in the first place. I mean, all she's doing is hurting her mom.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.